The race for the White House is really close. Opinion polls are showing a neck-and-neck fight. And remember, this is one of the most historic elections for the United States of America. Democrat nominee Kamala Harris, who's the incumbent vice president, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, who's hopeful of a return and a rerun this time. Now, the opinion polls or the surveys that are being done, for example, take a look at that. In Pennsylvania show that Donald Trump is leading, but just by 1%. He's predicted to get about 49% against Kamala Harris's 48%. That's how close this is. The opinion poll, for example, in Georgia state predicts that Donald Trump will be getting about 50% of votes, Kamala Harris trailing slightly behind at about 48%. In North Carolina, both Harris and Trump are expected to get 48% of votes each. And that's why people, observers, experts are not making much of a prediction because clearly looks like a very close contest. For example, also let's look at the election campaigning. Kamala Harris's Democrats expected to be better off with about 49% vote, and that's a share compared to Trump's 48%. Among all the states that we are looking at right now, Donald Trump appears to be leading in Arizona, while Harris is better off in Wisconsin.
Simple question, are you better off now or... just remember this. I'll tell you what, you remember it. Do you like it better now or 4 years ago? Well, ask it a different. Do you like it better now or 4 years ago? And I've come today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote on Tuesday, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of massive numbers of criminals coming into our country. Thank you very much, Kamala and Joe. And I will bring back the American dream, and we'll bring it back stronger than ever before. But this is all you need to know. Kamala broke it, and we will fix it, and we're going to fix it fast.
And remember, at a time like this, because this election may also decide which way the global politics also goes, specifically when at a time we're looking at the conflicts and wars. India today is on the ground right now in the USA. All the action is taking place there in the heart of New York City at the Times Square. Here's a report by India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan. Let's dip in to understand the mood, the sentiment across USA right now.
These are the last moments of an election slugfest. Leaders fighting it out to the last breath to ensure they gain control of Washington, D.C. It could impact capitals across the world. Watch India Today for a detailed coverage on U.S. presidential elections 2024.
So as Geeta is trying to get us more and more views, remember it's been the election season, but it's also the festive season of Diwali. And the Indian diaspora, the Indian Americans clear, not only form a good vote bank, but also are candidates in this US election. So India Today was at, and speaking to the Indian American Trump supporters in Long Island at a Diwali bash. Let's listen into that.
Here you have the Indian community events taking place, Diwali celebrations here in Long Island. We spoke to a few leaders over here, community leaders, all of them very enthusiastic about voting, about US elections, and also about Trump. We have to wait and see what happens and how America decides on the 5th of November. But these are visuals of the Indian diaspora coming together to celebrate Diwali here in Long Island. This is Geeta Mohan reporting for India Today Global.
भारतीय वोट बैंक कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है इस इलेक्शन में? हर इलेक्शन में इम्पोर्टेंट होता है, लेकिन ज्यादातर डेमोक्रेट्स के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. तो इस बार कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है भारतीय वोट बैंक?
भारतीय इसलिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, चाहे हम बहुत माइनॉरिटी में हैं, लेकिन हमारे जो रिलीजन है, जैसे अभी विभूति जी ने बताया कि हमारे पास दिवाली की छुट्टी नहीं है, लेकिन कई लोगों ने इलेक्टेड ऑफिशियल्स ने हेल्प किया. तो न्यूयॉर्क सिटी में दिवाली की छुट्टी बच्चों को है स्कूल में. तो लेकिन हम ये चाहते हैं कि जब हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं, हमारे भी होने चाहिए, लेकिन हम इलेक्टेड ऑफिशियल्स को उनको तभी चुने जो हमारी माइनॉरिटी को ध्यान दे सके, इकोनॉमिकली, हमारे रिलीजियस के लिए और हमारे फ्यूचर, हमारे बच्चों के लिए, एजुकेशन के लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है.
डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी का एजेंडा अलग है, ट्रंप की पार्टी, रिपब्लिकन पार्टी का एजेंडा अलग है, क्योंकि ट्रंप की पार्टी डिपेंड इस बात पे है कि बिजनेस हो, ग्रोथ हो, नो वॉर. जैसे रविंद्र जी ने कहा कि ट्रंप का जो रिकॉर्ड है 4 साल का, वो आपके सामने है. लोएस्ट इन्फ्लेशन, हाईएस्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट, हाईएस्ट रेट ऑफ इफेक्टिव अर्निंग, नॉट नॉमिनल अर्निंग, इफेक्टिव अर्निंग, and no war started by him. This is right in front of you. So अगर वो इंसान उसकी जुबान थोड़ी लड़खड़ाती है और उल्टा पलटा कभी-कभी बोल जाते हैं, तो that's not a good enough reason to say to drop the policies.
But to really understand the kind of impact, influence India or Indian films really have, Geeta Mohan caught up with Nargis, a taxi driver from Uzbekistan, working in America, who's a big fan of not only the Hindi film industry, but has named her son Shah Rukh for a reason. Take a look at this.
So Nargis, you are based in New York?
Yeah,
And you're originally from Uzbekistan?
from Uzbekistan. I'm 20 years here, and I love the Indian movies, Indian actors. I love the Shri Devi. She's died. I know.
I know. So Nargis, who do you think will win the elections?
Only Donald Trump.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I like the Donald Trump. I don't know. He's strong man. He's really president. Kamala, no,
Not really?
no. She's woman, and I don't know. She's not strong.
She's not strong?
No.
Okay.
The Donald Trump is strong. Donald Trump is better.
And you think he'll win?
Yeah, I vote the only Donald Trump.
Okay, all right.
I'll now take you to a ground report by India Today's Rohit Sharma. He's been following America's political developments closely, how the changes has been the campaigning as well. Let's listen in now to what residents have to say, the citizens of America. He boarded a campaign bus, and here's who they are rooting for. Take a look.
We're currently in the bus that is taking us to Pennsylvania. Now, we have this exclusive event that we are covering with the Indian American voters, and it is going to be a big event in Pennsylvania. A lot of people are converging there because they know how important Pennsylvania is. 19 electoral college votes from the state of Pennsylvania, and these volunteers and voters believe that that they can actually convince some of those independent voters that will end up deciding who gets to the White House. So throughout the entire day, we'll be traveling in this bus. As you can see, we will be talking to some of the volunteers and voters, asking them their opinion about what they will be doing in their capacity to make sure that they could convince some of these independent voters to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. There will be some door knocking that we will cover, and we will be embedded with this entire volunteer team as they knock doors in Pennsylvania. As you can see right now, this volunteer is helping some of the people get through this app. Now, this is called a van pool app, and what this app does essentially it allows people to be able to know which houses they have to go and talk to. So some of these voters, it gives them an address, a name of the individual that they will be speaking to. So this volunteer on the bus is helping people download the app that will allow them to campaign.
Absolutely. So basically what I was doing is talking to all the different volunteers and making sure that they have Minivan downloaded on their phone, which Minivan is a platform that allows you to see all of the voters and the person that you're talking to information in a distinct place, to allow everything to be there with a script as well, to make it easier for the people who are door knocking, to make sure it's the most simplest activity that you could be doing, to help make sure that we can get out the vote.
Just tell us about, how did this idea about taking South Asians to Pennsylvania come about, and your organization and what you've been doing up till now.
So yes, it is very close. So every vote matters, and as you know, the swing states, how the electoral college works here. The swing states kind of decide who the president is. So I live in Maryland, right? So I vote, but I feel like I have to do work in the swing states, right, mobilize people, because their say is going to determine who is going to be the president for all of us.
The American election is so close that we do not know what will happen, who's going to win this election. But what is absolutely known is the fact that one of the candidates will be taking oath right here on the Capitol Hill, which is behind me. And as you can see, it's all lit up and it's all its glory. But there is also a chance, a very outside chance, that this election could be tied. And when I say it could be tied, it could mean that both candidates don't get to 270 electoral college votes. Both can end up getting 269 and 269, which would mean that there has to be a tiebreaker vote. And who's going to cast this tiebreaker vote? Well, the American Constitution has an amendment in place for scenarios like this, for an outlier election like this, where if both candidates end up with 269 electoral college votes, it's the House of Representatives and the Senate that decide who becomes its next president. And in the amendment, it is clearly written that the House of Representatives, which is the lower house, they will elect or select the next president of the United States, while the Senate will have say over who becomes its next vice president. Now, this is why the down ballot rates in America are also very important in this election cycle. From the polling, it seems like Democrats have an advantage in the House of Representative races, so they might be able to come and win a majority in the House of Representatives, meaning they could very well end up electing a Democrat as the next president of the United States. However, in the Senate, it looks like the Republicans will have a majority. And obviously, for obvious reason, they will choose a Republican as the next vice president of the United States. And it's never happened in the history of America where there has been a tie and then it had to be broken. But if there was a possibility in modern politics of that happening, that could very well happen in this very election.
So let's go on the ground. Joining me live, our foreign affairs editor Geeta Mohan, who's presently in the USA. Also Rohit Sharma, who's been there now for years, tracking the political landscape of America. Geeta, first to you. How is the sentiment, mood like compared to India? Just 24 hours to go for election. And what a historic moment you are currently documenting. What do you see around you?
Well, firstly, like we were discussing, Rohit and I, that early voting is what a lot of Pooja, I'll just step out of the car.
Go ahead.
And yeah, so early voting is something that a lot of people in New York have really indulged in, because they really think that there is no off that is given for voting. And so what happens is that they take time out whenever they can, and over the course of the week, those who can and find time to have gone and already voted. So you do have a sense of which way and where they're headed, where the electoral or the electorate is headed. And in New York, I've been speaking to quite a few people, very enthused about the elections, but also a lot of them have come out supporting Trump. So very interesting, not just people in the streets that I was speaking to, the Indian community that I met with today, who were celebrating Diwali. Most of them out and out came out in support of Trump, not just because Trump has done well for the United States of America, or had done well for the United States of America, but particularly because they seem to think that he's good for India-US ties as well. And that's very important. So over here, November 5th is when you'll see a lot of them go out, but a lot of them have already voted, mailed in their votes, or have gone in for early voting, which technically came to a halt today around 6 p.m.
All right, Geeta, I'll come back to you in a short while to help understand what's brewing, and hours to go now for that voting day.